I've been thinking about living with lava. I had the privilege of living in Hawaii for many years, and there's one thing that happens in Hawaii that happens almost nowhere else, and that is volcanoes. The volcanoes in Hawaii have been in continuous eruption since, well, the 60s. And I want to talk about a specific kind of lava called pahoehoe. It's fascinating. When you see pahoehoe, it doesn't look too bad. In fact, let me show you a video here. I'll pull this up, show you what I'm talking about. This is pahoehoe. It looks like kind of, a tarry stuff. It kind of oozes, and you kind of look at it and go, well, that's not too bad. This little section from the BBC shows you what I'm talking about. But the problem with pahoehoe is it doesn't look too bad, but if you just scratch the surface, it burns. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me show you what this guy's going to do. He's barely going to scratch the surface with this hammer, and out comes liquid rock. This is thousands of degrees of hot molten lava, and it burns. It burns everything. You know, and that's a lot like life. It's a lot like anger happens in our lives. You know, there's a lot of comparisons between volcano and lava and anger. Have you ever heard of he's hot under the collar? Or that really burns me. Or he blows his top. That sounds like a volcano to me. You know, my life was like that. I didn't look too abnormal. Don't say it. Anyway, I looked fine. But if you scratch the surface the wrong way, out gushed hot lava of anger that burned. It burned me, it burned everybody. I was angry. I was angry at my friends for not being better friends. I was angry at my family. I was angry at co-workers. I was angry at the government. I was angry at the world. I was angry at everybody. I was even angry at God. After all, it was his fault. He made me this way. You know what I'm saying? And my anger burned. It burned people that I loved. It burned people around me. Psalm 37 verse 8 says, let me read it to you. Cease from anger. Forsake wrath. It only leads to evil doing. And boy, you know, anger can really lead to evil doing. We can be so angry that all of a sudden something happens and we lose control. The first murder in the Bible happened because of anger. It says Cain killed Abel. Now it was religious anger. It was jealousy. But just a few verses later, God says, why were you so angry? God asks us, why are you so angry? In Proverbs 14:29, it says, people with understanding control their anger. And a hot temper, there's that hot again, a hot temper shows great foolishness. So what's the solution to living with lava? There may be a friend you know, maybe you, maybe a family member. And being around them, being around yourself is like living with lava. The slightest scratch and hot anger bursts out and burns away. So the solution is like the same with lava. If you look in Hawaii, lava will flow off of the volcano and flow down and flow into the sea. And when it does, the ocean completely surrounds it and cools it down, and the heat goes away. When we ask Christ into our lives to be our Savior and to take control of our lives, we're surrounded by a cool God. We're in God. God is in us. We're completely submerged in a wonderful, cool God. And our anger cools. And we get something called peace. Now, I'm not talking about political peace or, some other weird peace. I'm talking about peace of heart, peace of mind, peace with God, peace with our fellow men. In John 14:27, Jesus is talking to his disciples, and he says something very interesting. He says, I'm leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart. And the peace I give is a gift the world cannot give. So don't be troubled or afraid. Now that's cool, and the pun is intended. Hot anger is described as a huge negative in Galatians chapter 5, 19 and 21. And I got to read this to you. It says, now the deeds of the world are evident, which are immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmities, strife, jealousy, outbursts of anger, disputes, dissensions, factions, envying, drunkenness, carousing, and things like these. That's Galatians 5, 19 to 21. Pretty scary list. And I've been thinking, why does this list sound like so many people I know who call themselves Christians? Why is that? Many Christians, quote, quote, are angry because they don't trust God. They don't surrender to God's control in their lives. You scratch them, you just scratch them the wrong way, and out gushes hot anger, fiery anger. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. Many of us don't trust God. They don't put God in control. Many of us don't surrender to God to lead in their lives. And many of us are angry about it. Now, if you're a little bit later in Galatians chapter 5, after that terrible list, there's another list, Galatians 5, 22 and 23. It says, God's Spirit is in us, and it germinates a seed that produces fruit in our lives. And I tell you, that cool fruit, let me read this verse. It's an amazing verse to me. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Wow, there's no anger there. If you scratch a person that is filled with those things, outflows love, not lava. So are you living with lava? Trust Christ to come into your life, forgive you for your anger, and fill you with his peace. Then to surrender to him to take control of your life. Then instead of living with lava, you'll be living with love. Think about it.